So I just think put in the work, put in the time, put in the volume, and it'll pay off on race day. And just be mentally tough. You came this far. You put in the work now, just do it.
Running 100 miles seems impossible, and maybe even kind of crazy. And it is, but we believe in big crazy dreams. That's why we ran 100 miles. It was such a life-changing experience for us, we decided to devote this podcast to preparing and inspiring you to run your first ultra race.
Are you ready to feel the highest highs and the lowest lows? Are you ready to do what you once thought was impossible? Are you ready for your trail to 100? Thank you for joining us here on Trail to 100. I'm Jacob Bateman, and joined along with me is my beautiful and lovely wife, Melody.
Hey, guys.
And today, as our special guest, we have Brady Wix. Now, Brady Wix did something amazing. Brady Wix, at one point of his life, weighed 350 pounds.
This was just 3 years ago.
3 years
FYI.
ago. And today, he weighs, I think, 175 pounds, somewhere in that range, and he ran a 100-mile ultra marathon in October of 2023. And so we had the privilege and the opportunity to sit down and talk with Brady about how he did it, how he dieted to lose all that weight.
You guys just wait until you hear how he lost the weight.
Yes.
And how he keeps it off.
Yes, and how he keeps it off, and how he's developed a new mindset to live his life to where he just wants to get out there and live. He wants to look back. He said he wants to look back at who he was when he's an 80-year-old man and be proud of what he did and the life he lived. And I think he's well on his way. So enjoy this episode, guys. Well, Brady, thank you for joining us here on Trail to 100. We are super excited to hear your story because you got a unique one.
I appreciate it for having me on. I'm excited to share my story and, hopefully inspire some others.
Oh, I'm sure.
It will. We're inspired.
Yes.
We're inspired.
I'm sure it will. Because, and for our listeners out there, Brady, you, from what I understand, at one point weighed 350 pounds. Am I right?
That is correct.
And what's your current weight now?
I'm sitting around 175 to 180.
So, Brady, I know this is a huge question. There's a lot to it, but we're just going to dive into it. How does somebody go from weighing 300 plus pounds to running 100 miles within a 3-year time period? What motivated you to start that journey? Yeah, sorry.
So basically, I played college football for 3 years. So when I was nearing my graduation in college, I stopped playing football because our school shut down. So I always had that internal drive to be better, to be the best defensive tackle, which is what I played in college. So then I started losing weight. I lost weight to join the United States Army. And then in my process of losing weight to join the Army, I used cardio and running to lose weight. And then I pretty much became obsessed with doing running because I hated it so much at first. I literally despised it. My first mile was, I think I ran it in 18 minutes, a walk run. Barely could run a quarter mile, so it was a walk run for a mile. So I just used that running to lose weight, and then I eventually just dropped weight. And then in my process to leaving for basic training, I just loved running. And then my process over the past 3 years, I've just slowly increased my mileage and loved running each day. And then it took me to the ultimate 100 miler.
Wow. I feel like this happens a lot where maybe I mention I'm a runner and someone says, oh, I hate running. And I always say, everyone who runs has said that at some point.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great that you learned to love it.
Exactly. Because in football, a lot of sports, you view running as a punishment. Because if you don't have a good player right here, we're going to run. You go run sprints, and then everybody gets in their head okay, running's bad. I hate running. But they've actually never done running, I think, the proper way, as you could say, and actually enjoyed it and pushed their body to the limits in their own way versus what somebody else is making them do, like running sprints at practice or whatever it may be.
Amen. Let's start teaching people that running is fun and not using it as a punishment.
Good luck telling all the high school football coaches that.
Yeah, easier said than done, but
Yeah.
So this is where I'm curious. I feel like a lot of people get into running to lose weight. But the thing is, there's a lot more to losing weight than just running, as I'm sure you learned, right? So what else did you do to lose the weight, like nutrition-wise, or did you weight train, or what else was in that equation?
So this is what I did. I honestly don't recommend it to everyone. So April of 2020 was when I set my mind I wanted to join the United States Army, and I gave myself until October the 1st of 2020 to lose. I had to be down to 198 pounds to join the Army. So I went pretty extreme with it. I downloaded MyFitnessPal, and I literally tracked everything I ate for that time frame between 12 and 1,800 calories a day. So I was pretty regiment with it, never went off of it. I still don't to this day. I eat 1 meal a day. That's what I did back then. I do nowadays, 1 meal. So that's what I did to lose weight, and I just incorporated a lot of running, and then a lot of strength training, calisthenics, and just watching what I eat and proper with that, and not, going overboard, just sticking to the 12 to 1,800 calories a day until I met my goal, and then it can be done, that's for sure.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive. That is straight up discipline right there. So you've never had one day where you've strayed from those calories.
During that time frame, no, I tracked literally every gram of food that I took in because I knew I had to lose that weight. So I was strict with it, and I actually met my goal. I think I enlisted in the Army October the 7th, so I pretty much met my goal of losing that weight to 198 pounds in that time frame.
That's amazing.
No.
So how many months was it then from when you started to lose your weight to when you got to your goal weight?
It was April 2020 until October 2020, so 5 months-ish? 5 months.
Oh, holy moly.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That's amazing. I feel like I need to be more disciplined. I'm like, wow, that is some serious discipline. I'm curious, did you track your macros, or was it just calories that you looked at?
It was just calories. I could care less about losing muscle, what I lost. I just wanted to lose the weight. So just calories.
Okay.
And it was pretty much the same meal every day. So I basically knew what I was taking in, so I never strayed from that. Like, I knew what it was, and I stuck with it.
Oh, what was the meal, if you don't mind me asking?
It's kind of similar to what I do now. I do the same thing now. I eat 1 meal a day still. I do a 24-hour fast every day. I've done that since I started this journey. But now, of course, I incorporate more calories into my diet, and I eat more protein or whatever. But like as far as the 1 meal a day fasting, I still do that to this day.
Okay, you did that when you were in X-ray school.
Yeah. I read a book about fasting and really got into it. Yeah, and did the 24-hour fast quite often. I did it like 3 days a week, though. I was not as diligent as you were.
You liked it when you were doing
I did. I felt sharp. I felt in control of my life.
Exactly.
I felt in control of my body. It really gave you a sense of, like I can say no. I can be disciplined, and honestly, I kind of want to get back to it. I haven't done it in quite some time because, this leads me into my next question here. What got me away from the fasting life was I started running ultras. I started running more, and I just had all these food cravings coming in and hitting me. So, Brady, how do you...
You're laughing like you understand.
How much running, I guess, first off, how much running were you doing during that time period where you were just shedding the pounds? And then what do you do for nutrition now that you are running and you just ran 100 miles? You got to eat something to get you through 100 miles. So how do you do your nutrition like on your runs now? or are you just so fat adapted you can just run and hardly eat anything? Let me hear about your nutrition there. Running.
When I first started running, I was only averaging I was excited to get like 5 to 10 miles a week when I first started losing the weight. That was a huge deal. So I could sustain eating that little, so I wasn't running maybe a mile or two a day when I started losing the weight. But now what I eat per day is pretty wild. I'll break it down. I eat a pound of ground chicken, 450 grams of egg whites, 2 packets of salmon or tuna, about a cup and a half of Greek yogurt, and various fruits, pineapples, strawberries, blueberries, you name it, and I eat it, and then egg whites. So that's what I eat, one meal a day, around 7 to 8 o'clock every night. And then I do a lot of my runs mostly fasted for the most part, unless it's a super long run. I may get up in the morning, have like an electrolyte drink and maybe a banana. But for the most part, they're mostly fasted. Maybe a bagel here and there. I think I ate a bagel before the 100-miler with a banana. And then during my mid-race nutrition, I try to stick to whole foods. So bananas, I eat a lot of Laura bars because there are like 3 ingredients in those. So I try to stick to whole foods, and the less ingredients, the better. Every now and then I'll stray, like for the 100-miler, I grab some stuff at the aid station, some pretzels or whatnot. But if on my typical training days, I try to stick to whole foods, and maybe the spring energy gels is the same thing, the whole foods. Not a lot of added sugars and whatnot, so that's kind of how I stick to it now.
Have you had sugar, like processed sugar, since your transformation, and have you noticed how it affected you?
Yeah, so I have, every now and then, not recently, but, going out with maybe my girlfriend or something, I might have something like that's on a rare occasion, but it's very rare. I'm personally, I'm scared of going back to my former self. It literally haunts me every day. That's one of the main reasons why I do that 1 meal a day, the same meal, because I know I'm going to stick to it. I'm a big dude in the past, so I like to eat. So now I'm afraid if I eat anything that's not in my diet, then I'm going to binge eat and go off the wall and go back to 350 pounds. So I try not to ever. Even in the Army, we'll go to the field for maybe a week long, and everybody's eating MREs, all that stuff, and I'll try to pack my own food, like the dried fruits and the tuna and the Laura bars, just where I can stick to my stuff, because I just can't go back to my former self. So pretty much.
That's understandable. Those MREs are there's lots of junk in those.
Sometimes I have to eat them, but there's nothing. But if I can bring my stuff, I'm going to bring it. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has that become like burdensome ever? Like feeling like you need to bring your own food to places, or are you've just adjusted to that life and it's fine?
I've adjusted to it, but it's sometimes people around me might call me you got to quit obsessing over what you're eating. I get it. I probably need to have a better relationship with my nutrition, but it's me, it's who I am. I'm not going to change, so I'm just going to stick with it because I know it works. So that's how I feel about it.
That makes sense. You got to do what works for you, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know. I'm going back to this book that I read on fasting. It was a really fascinating book. I think it was called The Complete Guide to Fasting, by I don't remember the guy's name, but I remember him saying, don't ever tell people that you're fasting, because people are just going to call you crazy and and basically, hound you about how what you're doing is unrealistic, or, just basically hate on it. And so, yeah, with what you're saying, I find, it sounds like you've gone through the same thing, because you do a fasting lifestyle, and it works for you, and I think that's awesome and amazing. And but people love to make fun of stuff, whatever that makes them feel, might make them feel a little insecure, might make them feel like they aren't exercising discipline in their life, so they're going to call you crazy because they don't understand it.
I feel like it's kind of the same with ultras. Something that Jacob and I learned is we don't tell everybody that we run 100-mile races. We just, sometimes we'll mention maybe we run, but we don't go tell everyone, we train for 100-mile races, because you get the same thing of why would you do that? Don't you know that's terrible for your knees, So you do have to be kind of careful about who anytime anyone does anything that's considered extreme, you got to be careful about how you talk about it and who you tell, right?
You do, but they always say the people that are talking about you are typically doing less than you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
typically, if they're talking bad about you, they're probably not doing as much as you. It's usually never the people that's achieving stuff in their life that's going to talk bad about you. That's how I see it. So I'm usually not afraid to put what I'm doing out there, whatever. It's, it's kind of like my movie of my life. So if they like it, hey, great. If they don't, great too. So
Totally. It's similar to, do you know Mike McKnight? Or the low carb runner?
yes, yep, I know exactly who he is. Yep, I didn't know the name,
He's
but
got
Yeah.
a similar diet to you.
Yeah.
yeah, I've saw him. He does.
Yeah, and he did a 100-mile race, totally fasted, no calories. Yeah. So that sounds like something up your alley.
Wow. I'm about to try that. Maybe do like an ultra or like a 50K first, and then maybe work my way to a fully fasted 100-miler. But
Yeah.
that's pretty legit stuff. Wow, I didn't know that.
He's done it twice, 200s.
That's incredible, actually. I did not know that.
Yeah, they weren't his fastest hundreds.
Obviously.
So he does talk about how
Of course.
eating does help you go faster, but it is possible to run 100 miles without food.
Wow, that's incredible.
Not very relatable to the common man. So what turned you on to the 100-mile distance, Brady?
I did my first half marathon in the fall of 2021, and I've just, I did the marathon next, and I'm okay, what's after a marathon? A 50K, so I did a few 50Ks. I'm okay, what's next? A 50-miler, so I did the 50-miler. I'm like, okay, what's next? I'm like, is it 100K, 60-ish miles? Nah, I have to do the 100. It's like the pinnacle of ultra running in my eyes. I just think it'd be, just the train up for it would be awesome, the mileage I have to put in. And then it just kind of attracted me. It's been, ever since I started running, I've heard about it, and something I've been gunning for 2 years now, so.
Wow, and that's impressive in itself. Not only did you lose all this weight and then go run, let me say that again. Not only did you lose all this weight, but then you went and ran 100 miles on top of that. And I feel like most people are like, oh, this is something that I've been dreaming of for, 10, 15 years. And you were like, oh, I was dreaming of this for 2 years. And you just went and did it. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
So what was you said, the training, you knew it was going to be brutal and it was going to push you. What was your attack plan for training? Like, what were you thinking, like, with your runs and your mileage? What were you thinking about strength training? What was your overall plan on how you were going to get this 100-mile finish?
So going into my first 50-miler back in the March, I had a terrible train up for it. Didn't have the volume I needed to, and it showed during the race. So I knew going in the 100-miler, I had to dial down what I was going to do, the volume during the week, the back-to-back long runs, and then I had to dedicate a lot of time. So less sleep, less time, doing what I want to do. And I had to run. So I'd be getting up like I do now. I usually get up around 2:33 every day. I do my strength training or my runs, and then in the afternoon I do my run or my strength training, vice versa. And then I just logged a lot of miles, time on feet runs, and then during the weekends I'd go for back-to-back long runs. I did back-to-back 15 to 20 milers starting in probably July time frame all the way up till October. I don't know if that's probably ideal that far in advance, but it worked for me. Like I said, the nutrition, it just works for me. And then I did some speed work too, just because mix it up a bit, but just a lot of volume, a lot of mileage. And I did most of my runs fatigued, so there's a few times during the week, probably 2 or 3 weeks straight, I'd run every day. I'd have no days off just because, back to my nutrition, I'm scared of going back to 340 pounds. So just kind of maybe being scared of being 340 pounds again, it helps me become a better runner. I don't know, but it's in my mind, so it makes me run more and further.
The fear is the motivation.
Honestly.
Did the lack of did the hitting it hard every day, did that catch up to you? Did you have any injuries due to that, or how did that go?
So I had a pretty Had an IT band injury after my 50 mile. I wouldn't say injury, but just a hiccup so I was out for like 2 months, March, April, May, for dealing with that. And then I had one about a month out, the other knee, before the 50 or the 100 miler. And then I rested up, got that good. And then during the 100 miler, the same one acted up about mile 75. And I'm just now running again from that one. So just the IT band, but nothing other than that, nothing significant now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have to just like convince yourself to take a day off? How do you get yourself to take a recovery day?
So in my eyes, when I say recovery day, I'm going for like, today I didn't run, so I went for like a 6.5 mile walk. That's my off days. I have to be some kind of movement. If not, I'm going to go crazy.
And and I think that's great. I think that's an awesome
what a recovery day should be.
Yeah.
I do think on a rare occasion, like maybe the day after you run a 100-mile race.
Okay, I did
sit on the couch and watch
that day I
TV.
did. I couldn't move, so I agreed on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time, I think active recovery. I mean, I know active recovery is better. I mean, it's in the science. The more you move, the better. It's going to help break up the muscles and get that lactic acid pumping. So.
Yeah. So take us to race day. How did that 100-miler go?
It was good. So I did it. It was the Allison Woods Halloween Hobble. It was in Charlotte, North Carolina, about 20 minutes north of Charlotte. It was a 7 a.m. Gun start. So I had a plan. I was gonna. So it was a 4-mile loop. So I had to do it 25 times. Pretty steep elevation here and there. So I wanted to do every lap in about 15 or about an hour or so to start out. And I was moving along so good. The first 50 miles, I actually PR'd my 50 miler from my actual 50 mile race. So I was moving great. I got the 50 miler in like 12 hours. So I'm like, I might shoot for like 25 hours, 24 hours in my first one. And then my knee kind of giving out a bit, my feet. I started stopping at aid stations too much, and then nightfall came, and then I hit a wall and finished in 29 hours. So, but it was good. It was a great experience. I think that my biggest thing was the nighttime and then the weather drop. It dropped from about 75 degrees till about 35 at nighttime. So that was a big one. But I honestly enjoyed the suck a lot. Like the 65, 70 miles. That was when I felt alive the most. I felt like I was suffering, but I just felt alive. I was doing what I was meant to do, so it was good.
That is beautiful. I feel like you're like David Goggins, basically. A very David Goggins mentality. I love it.
So looking back at the whole experience, what's something looking back that moving forward, let's just reset that question. Moving forward, and looking back at that experience, what's something you're going to change as you continue training that maybe you didn't do as well in this training block that you were like, oh, I want to hit that a little bit harder, or on the training block or during the race?
During the race, I'll do both. During the race, probably changing my shoes. I didn't change my shoes one time or change the socks. And then don't stop at aid stations too long. I had a good time beginning, and then I obviously 50 miles, 60 miles in, getting more tired, so I stopped more. That messed me up completely. And then and then for the training up, I think the number one thing is strength training. So I strength trained a lot, like upper body, but when I was logging a lot of those miles, I'm not going to lie, I got lazy and didn't train like I should have, and obviously I messed up my knee. So now I'm focused on building my legs up so I can endure those miles instead of just running. Obviously strength training is going to make me a better runner. So do that more, strength training and just the race day, aid station stops and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it can be hard to convince yourself to go do a leg day after you've ran a 50, 60 mile week. Those legs.
Exactly.
I don't blame you you said you were getting lazy, but I think we all struggle with that and figuring out how to fit it in.
You do typically want to decrease the strength training as you increase your mileage, right? Because it just is hard to get all in. So you do want to do, most of your strength training kind of in the off season when your mileage is lower, so you're kind of teetering.
But you still got to get some in.
But you still got to get
exactly
the more body weight stuff during the peak weeks. Yeah, but you still got
I would always be in the gym doing like upper body calisthenic workouts because I enjoy those still. But as far as like strength, like my glutes and kind of stuff up, like hitting those maintenance leg workouts, I just wasn't doing it like my band work I do in the off season, my warm-ups. I wasn't doing my warm-ups very well. I just want to get out there and get the miles done. I wasn't doing my proper warm-ups, and obviously now I'm paying for it. But now I think having the knee injury, not being able to run much, was actually a good learning lesson, a blessing in disguise. So now I get to see what I need to work on and not let it happen again. So just trying to find the good in everything.
I like how you phrase that maintenance workout.
Exactly.
It is a maintenance
when you're
workout.
in those high mileage weeks, you still got to do some maintenance workouts on those legs.
Well, and I think ultra runners are people who have the kind of personality that don't like the stretching and the maintenance stuff. We, like you said,
It's not as exciting.
Yeah,
No.
you don't sweat. It's boring. I think something else that's really important with work like that is it does help you. It helps your nervous system, because it's a little bit slower. You kind of have to be more present. You aren't breathing really heavy and really fast, I think that's really important. But I think it is really hard for us Type A runners who just want to go, and who are
you're not
like running on adrenaline all the time,
Because you're not seeing no results. You're not like seeing that 15 miles log. So you're not seeing nothing from doing that stretch or whatever.
Right.
But I think down the road you'll see the results of it, obviously. So I think that's a big thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's something you did do during your training that you thought really helped you on race day?
I think just running on tired legs. So like if I'm averaging, say, 60, 70 miles a week, okay, great, that's a lot of miles, but I'm about to have to run 100 miles in 30 hours. So if I can't run on tired legs in training, then I'm expected to do it when it's 3 a.m. and I've already ran 70 miles. I don't want to run. So I think just getting up early, running late at nighttime, or early morning, however what you want to call it, running fatigue, running tired, in my training helped me for actual race day. Because some people just run in their best conditions, full 8 hours of sleep, nice breakfast. No, that's not going to work when it actually comes to running the 100 miles.
It's true, because you got to train your brain. What we were just saying, we did another podcast before this too, and we were talking about how you need to train yourself to be able to physically run 50 miles, and then the next 50 miles, it's a mind game. That's when you just that's when the sufferfest kicks in, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's about basically who has the strongest mind on who can keep moving forward.
Right. So I want to dive in a little bit more into your why, or what pushes you to train the way that you train. And you said that you have this fear of going back to your old self. And again, if any of these questions are like too personal, like no pressure to answer anything you're uncomfortable answering. But my first question is, what makes you scared of your past self? Why is your past self scary to you?
One of the main reasons why I'm I guess you say scared to go back to how I was just kind of zombieing my way through life. And I was in college, I was working a job, I was pretty much average like everybody else was. Yeah, I played college football, I got a scholarship and whatnot, but looking in the mirror every day, I was just kind of disgusted with myself, not just being 340 pounds. That was the main factor. I wasn't doing anything worthwhile in my life that I could look back on when I'm 80 years old and be like, damn, I'm proud of myself. I did that. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I did some things that not everybody's doing. I made a name for myself, and it was just, it motivated me, and I was like, I needed to do something with my life to, I know I'm going to die one day. I know I'm not going to exist forever, so why just do the basic stuff in life? Why not reach out and do something crazy and just challenge myself? And ever since the journey, I've been kind of obsessed and love challenging myself and getting out of my comfort zone and doing quote unquote hard things and hard stuff, because it's actually who made me who I am. I don't even consider myself. That's not the old Brady Wix. This is who I am now. I've kind of killed that self, but I don't want that person to come back up from the grave. I want to keep it down there. So that's why I'm so strict and so regimental with each thing I do, because I don't want that. A lot of people don't understand that because they've never been like that. They've always been their normal way. They've always, been the best player or whatever. Why I haven't always been that way. So I want to stay how I am now and not go back to myself.
Totally. And I feel like that's a good analogy, that you kind of killed that past self. And then you also mentioned how your past self, you were kind of zombieing your way through life.
I can relate.
Yeah. I think we all have.
I think that's a good phrase, zombieing your way through life.
I think we've all been there before.
Just doing the motions, you're getting by, but you're not really excelling. You're not achieving. You're not that proud of what yourself and what you're doing. You can do more.
Yeah, well, that's what motivated us to run too.
Yeah.
So we were listening to another podcast that you were on, and you mentioned that you changed jobs. So
you were working at the jail. I think you said
Correct.
working at a jail, and you decided you wanted to join the Army. Tell us about that mindset shift where you realized, hey, I want to be done with this.
Because you did a whole 360. Not only did you lose the weight and start running, but you changed jobs. It's almost like one day you just woke up and you're like, I'm just going to be a completely different person.
So I was, like I said, it was like April 2020, and I graduated college. I was supposed to graduate December 2020. And I'm 350 pounds at this point. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do with my life? And no job that I desire is going to want some out of shape 350-pound dude. Like, it's embarrassing. No one wants that person to represent their company. So I'm like, okay. A couple of the guys I worked with at the police department, the jail, used to be in the Marines, the Army Reserves, and they was just kind of talking to me like, hey, you should try this, try that. And I was like, I don't know. And then I looked some of the stuff up about Army basic training, and I was like, okay, that's kind of tough. Shoot, let's try that. So I'm like, I'm going to join the Army just to say, I made it through basic training, to challenge me, to put me through some suck in life or whatever, trying to change me a little bit. And then I enlisted, and here I am now 3 years later, loving it. So I knew it'd motivate me. It'd kind of not make me zombie my way through life. It would make me push me mentally and physically, and it's what I needed. So
I see. Okay, you literally are like baby David Goggins. I'm just because that's kind of his story too, right?
You have a lot of similarities. Yeah. He was over 300 pounds. He wanted to join the Navy SEALs.
Kind of for the same reason, yeah.
When his first run was like a mile, and they said it about killed him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. You've read his book, right?
Have you read his book?
I read that one when I was actually, before I even started my weight loss journey back in 2019, before I even really cared about running or anything, but I have, yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I love it. It's, really everyone is so different, and everyone is motivated by different things. And anyways, it's just fascinating to me how everyone is, motivated by something different.
So what did you learn about yourself through that first 100-mile journey that you just took?
I learned a lot physically and mentally. I learned that, the body and the mind is capable of more than you think. This human body is pretty incredible. I went from barely being able to run 1 mile, and that honestly was in my mind a lot. Like, hey man, suck it up. You've run 70 miles already, and you're supposed to not be able to run 1 mile. What's 30 miles? And I think, not just in running, but I think in life, this can help me a lot. Like, hey, you got to go do this today. You got to do that. Dude, you just ran 100 miles. It can't be that hard. So I think it helped me with my mindset a lot of just doing everyday tasks, going to work, whatever I have to do in my life. This is nothing. You ran 100 miles. Not trying to be all, big and bad about running 100 miles, but it can help you a lot. Hey, you can run 29 hours straight, then you can do this task. It made me realize, I've done something with myself. I'm proud of myself and my former self, and it was a major goal, and I learned a lot about myself just in the suck and who I'm really made of. anybody could read a book or hear a podcast, but, I did what I wanted to do, and I was actually in that environment, and so I could look back and be proud of myself in years to come.
Totally. And you say you don't want to be like big and bad about it, but there's something about a big bad goal that just pushes you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you're saying.
Yeah. I think
that's true. It does.
That's spot on, Brady. Like, just I think that's one thing that I was really kind of looking for when I ran my first 100 was, like, I just wanted something that I knew felt impossible at times, but that once I could done it, it's such a huge confidence boost or a motivating factor of, like, okay, I can sit down and do my freaking budget today. That's going to take me 30 minutes to track my finances once a week, but just doing simple tasks like that. Like, I spent 36 hours on the mountain trying to run 100 miles. I can spend 30 minutes today, either, working out or doing my budget, or if you're religious, maybe, reading your scriptures, praying to God, whatever it is. That will benefit your life. It's like and I think that's something we need to do. We should make sure we're doing with running these great grand races. Let's implement those habits that we have to institute into running into our lives. And it sounds like you've been finding a way to do that.
100%. That's pretty much spot on.
Well, Brady, it has been awesome to have you on the podcast today. Like, golly, to go from over 300 pounds to running 100 miles, I can't even imagine. I mean, I will just say I can't relate. I've never experienced something like that, but I have a mad amount of respect for the people that do, because it sounds like it would take an unmatched type of discipline in order to execute that plan. So thank you for that. We got one more question, though, before we let you go. We ask all our guests this.
Before you ask that, I just want to bounce off of what you were saying and say that I'm trying to lose just a little bit of weight after having a baby, and that has been such a struggle for me. And this has really motivated me I'm like, wow, if you can lose that much weight in 5 months, then I can lose a few pounds after having a baby.
Oh, you got it.
That's just awesome. Yeah.
So, Brady, what is your top piece of advice for a new ultra runner out there who's training for his first 100-mile race?
I would say just volume and back-to-back long run weekends are crucial, and training like you fight. So training like you're going to run that race. So how you're going to do it. If your plan is to do, this time, how you're going to stop, train like you're going to do it. So you want to mimic race day as much as you can during your training. I get people can't train on the same elevation, the same, terrain as your own race day. But try to mimic this same way you're going to do it, your stops, what you're taking in on your food, because a stomach issue or a GI issue can throw you out of a race, that's for sure. So, and then I think volume and training on tired legs and not being afraid of overtraining. I don't think that's real. I think it's like under recovering for the most part, but just put in the mileage, because if you can't run 60, 70 miles in a week, then how in the world do you expect to run 100 miles in less than, say, 30 hours? Doesn't make sense, at least in my eyes. So I just think put in the work, put in the time, put in the volume, and it'll pay off on race day. And just be mentally tough. You came this far. You put in the work now, just do it. I think the hard part's done. I think the training, that's the hardest part. Now you just do what you've been working for. It's 30 hours of your life. So you've already put in 60-hour weeks of running, whatever what it is. It's 30 hours. You can do it. So I think it's a big mental game as well.
Fast. I love that. Yeah,
it does.
30 hours is not
that was one of the main things I thought of. Like, I've put in all these hours of running. It's only 30 hours of my life. They'll be over with. So, honestly, enjoy it. Enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think that's
easier said than done, but
yes.
kind of helped my mindset.
As you say that, I'm like thinking back to my last 100 when I was. It took me 35
Me too.
minutes to run it, and I remember when I was like, crap, I'm still 8 hours from a finish, and that seemed like the end of the
That's
like
like
8 hours seemed inconceivable at that time. But yeah, you gotta have. That's why it's good to have people there to remind you, like, hey, no, I know 8 hours seems like forever, but it's 8 hours. You can keep moving.
That's just one work
Just go
shift,
one more hour,
and then it's done.
one more hour at a time. Keep it
One
small.
step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, well, Brady, thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm sure lots of people could probably relate and find inspiration through it. And I'm sure people have already. And if anybody wants to hear more from you or follow along your running journey, where can they find you at?
I'm on Twitter at Wix47, and then Instagram at Wix78_. That's where I post most of my running stuff and my transformation. So feel free to check me out on that. So appreciate it.
Great.
Perfect.
Well,
And that will all be in the show notes too.
Awesome. And last question before you go, what's your running plans this year?
So right now, my major running plan is to get healthy and just back to running, injury-free. So obviously strength training. So I haven't really ran. I've started to run again since the race back in October, but just get healthy. And then I would like to, my goal is to actually do a 50-mile race again and PR it, like have a good time and train up. So if I can PR in my 100-miler, I know I can actually PR it and do a good time during an actual 50-miler. So I think that's my goal, is to do another 50-miler, have a good time for that one, and then eventually probably another 100 down the line pretty soon too.
I love that. I love the goal of have a good time. I think, what's the point if it's not fun, right?
Yep.
Great, Brady. Looking forward to seeing more about your ultra running journey and following along. And thank you for your time and joining us today.
Thanks, Brady.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me.
So a big thank you and shout out to Brady Wix for coming on the podcast today and sharing his amazing story about his weight loss and his running journey.
Brady Wix, a.k.a. Baby David Goggins.
Hopefully he doesn't take offense to that.
No, you're not a baby. You're just like David Goggins, and it's awesome.
I mean, it is. Like, literally, Brady's level of discipline is truly inspiring.
It really is.
Yeah. And it makes me want to kind of get back to my fasting days, because I do remember feeling so empowered when I fasted.
Well, and you've been talking about getting back into it for a long
Yeah.
time. You did really well on it.
I did.
See,
I did do well.
I didn't. I tried. It did not work well for me.
I actually did a 24-hour fast earlier this week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh.
I wasn't even meaning to, but I missed one meal, and then I missed two, and then I'm like, should I go get lunch? I'm like, no, we'll just wait till dinner.
I don't know if that's healthy.
Anyways, but I felt good. I didn't feel like I had to have food that day, so I felt good, so I did.
I mean, just, whoever's listening to this, do what works best for you.
Yeah.
We're not saying go do something this extreme.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Do what works best for you. That Brady found.
This is Brady's story, and this is what works for him.
Yep. So good on Brady. Now, Melody.
Yeah.
What's your main takeaways from our conversation with Brady?
So it just inspired me to be more disciplined.
Consistent.
Yeah. Be more consistent.
Yeah.
Be more disciplined. If he can do it, then I can do it too.
If
right?
you can create
granted, it's. Oh, go ahead.
He made a system, it sounded like. He made, and this goes back to like books like Atomic Habits. He took away the choices. Like, he even said how he ate the same meal every day. He systematized it.
And okay, here's the thing. I'm going to be honest. I worked with a nutritionist once, and that was the plan. I had a meal plan, and I was supposed to eat the same thing every single day. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I didn't do it. It was terrible.
And maybe that doesn't work for you, but what I'm just saying is systematize it. Take the choice away so that you're not every day having to make that choice. Am I going to eat that or not?
Right. So maybe a system of like, I'm going to rotate through like
these
5
foods,
different meal
these
plans
meals,
or something.
yes.
Right.
These breakfasts, like these snacks, I'll rotate through these. But I'm not going to get outside of these. This is it.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to do that. And I'm going to get back on here and I'm going to report. Okay, you guys can hold me accountable.
Okay.
Actually, as I've said that, I kind of regret it, but what's done is done. Okay, go.
All right. Something that Brady said really hit home for me. And this is actually, I don't know, a little bit vulnerable for me, I guess
Yeah,
you would
I
say.
was vulnerable. I feel like this is the vulnerable podcast.
Brady said the people that are talking bad about you are the people who are doing less than you. And it hit home for me because sometimes I don't always talk the best about others, to be straight up.
Yeah.
To be straight up. I could.
Come on, everyone gossips a little bit.
I love a good juicy gossip sesh, right?
Come on, babe. That's one of our themes.
But yeah, but do you ever leave I mean, here I am running podcasts, and my takeaway isn't even with running. It's just my takeaway was I need to be better with my thoughts. I need to be better with my words. I need to, you know what? If I want what somebody else has, I need to realize that they work to get there. They work to build what they have, and good on them. Don't be jealous. Don't try to bring them down.
Yeah.
Maybe they do it differently than me. Okay, that's fine. Who cares? Move on and start building my life into what I want it to become.
Totally.
And don't dwell
and maybe
on.
even learn from that person.
Yeah. Learn from them. Yeah. Don't gossip about them. Don't talk bad about them, because ultimately, like, as I've thought about this, I'm like, yeah, most of the people I have talked bad about, I'm not proud of it. But when I have talked bad about somebody, if I really look at it, they have something I want.
Hey, I think it's okay to admit that you're human, and I'm pretty sure most people who are listening to this can relate, even if they don't struggle with gossiping. Maybe this is something they've already worked through, and maybe you, listener, maybe you're super good at not talking bad about people. But
Brady, way to rebuke me without knowing you were rebuking me. Anyway, so great conversation with Brady. And anyways, guys, we appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening to this, every single one of you. Honestly, it still blows me away whenever we get a message from someone and tells us that, hey, I've listened to your podcast, just ran my first 100-miler. Like, that's why we do it. And it blows me away that people like me.
I know why that blows you away,
Sometimes
babe.
I
You're
like
awesome.
that people like this podcast, so we appreciate this. We appreciate
Also,
you guys.
They
so.
like me too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess so.
Okay, but really, if you guys want to learn more about Brady, we were able to get into all of the details of his story. He does have a write-up on our website under the tab Stories. Go to trail100.com and you can find his write-up there. Also, if you guys are looking for coaching, you can learn more about our coaching on our website, trail100.com. Under the coaching tab, we also have some Trail to 100 swag if you want a cool t-shirt or a running buff.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the t-shirt. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us today. And remember, if you want to run 100 miles, make it happen.